Charles Taylor, the author of Multiculturalism, writes, we define our identity always in dialogue with and sometimes in struggle against the things our significant others want to see in us. Even after we outgrow some of these others, our parents, for instance, and they disappear from our lives, the conversation with them continues within us as long as we live. Here's what's deep. Some of y'all are still struggling with your parents, and they ain't even here no more. So some of you still got daddy issues, and daddy gone. And a part of the challenge for you today is to get this. Until you understand the power of your parenting assignment as discipleship, as much about God as preaching, singing, and serving, you're not going to set the standard for them. Watch this. Let me give you the definition the Lord gave me for parenting. Blew my mind when he gave it to me, Deacon Smith. The Lord said parenting is the assuming of responsibility for the next generation. Parenting is the assuming of responsibility for the next generation. Ensuring, watch this, that they are equipped and prepared to live as accountable, godly followers of Jesus Christ. Parenting is assuming a responsibility for the next generation, ensuring that they are equipped and prepared to live as accountable, godly followers of Jesus Christ. Watch this. That when they are adults, will live out purpose, maximize their unique gifts, and here's the piece black folk have been missing, and produce wealth for their children. Parenting is the assuming of responsibility for the next generation, ensuring that they are equipped and prepared to live as accountable, godly followers of Jesus Christ, who when they are adults will live out purpose, maximize their gifts, and produce wealth for their children. Brother and Sister Hickson, you got those two amazing and beautiful young ladies. You are their father. You are their mother. Your assignment as a parent, watch this, George, is that you take responsibility for the next generation. So you do this by equipping them. You got your son sitting next to you in church today, right? You do this by equipping them, preparing them. But here's what you're doing, Dan. You're equipping them. Watch this, down. You got that son, right? You're equipping and preparing them to be accountable. Accountable. Which means that if you make a commitment to something, you teach your children how to live their commitments out. If I say I'm committed to Dan Smith, I have to model that commitment so that Alexis Dejan Taylor grow up seeing accountability as a positive trait and not slavery. See, some of you are members of this church, and what you model to your children is organizational commitments don't mean jack because you don't care to be accountable. So you're really saying to your children, when you don't come like you should, and when you don't pay your tithe, and when you don't support, and when you're negative, you're saying you can join something, but you ain't got to really be committed to it. Because look at how I model behavior. Want to know why some of your adult children ain't coming to church like they should? Go check what they saw when you were raising them. This house is quiet. You can't make him an accountable man if he sees inconsistency in your choices. Is this making sense? So watch this. Watch this, Steve. You want to raise children then who want to live out their purpose. Listen to me, Q. Listen to me. Here's one of the most amazing things. And I'm going to weave a lot of my personal life into this. Z, one of the amazing things about where my parents are is that they have two sons who are living out their ministry assignments. A third who died before that. 4 of their 5 children accepted their call to preach. We ain't all perfect. In fact, all of us are far from that. And that's the point. You're not raising perfect people. You're raising purposeful people. You see the difference, Jerome? You're not raising perfect people. You're raising purposeful people. Because, watch this, because I was raised to be purpose, it got me through my imperfections. Because I was raised to be purpose. So when I was a little boy, my mom said, baby, the Lord told me you shall bring many to righteousness. I've lived with that all of my life. So at 48 years old, traveling around the country, preaching at major events in smaller churches, pastoring you, I was raised to do this. I was raised to do this. This is what God wanted me to do, and he trusted my parents to get it done. Whoa! Jesus, Natasha, Daryl, God said, I've given you that little girl. I don't care how she got here. She's here. I gave you that little girl. Now, watch this. I'm going to trust you to raise them to be what I want her to be. I gave you Chris. Now I need to trust you and Deborah to get him to where he's supposed to be. I gave you those girls. Now I got to trust you to raise them. Now you're saying, but Pastor, they're already grown. If you're still alive, you're still their parent. And you got to be able to get the mind of God, because you ought to always be able to direct your namesake towards destiny. I feel the Holy Ghost here. It's a tough thing for many of you in this room, because you were not raised at this level of godliness. And again, I had this conversation with my wife, because sometimes, Sharon, when you preach and teach this kind of stuff, it sounds judgmental, and I'm so far from that. I'm really trying to help you, because here's my fear. The world has made stuff we were uncomfortable with comfortable. So homosexuality is a trophy of civil rights. I went through a divorce. Divorce is now becoming more common. People are walking out of marriages without trying. I tried. There's a lot going on in the world today. We're talking about gun control. How can you get a joker to not kill another joker if he ain't got morals? I ain't never killed nobody because I was taught to value life. I didn't sell drugs because I was taught it was wrong. And watch this. And I was given such an environment where it wasn't a desire. I don't want my daughters going after hood rats and gangsters. I don't want her riding around in a car with a drug dealer, because just in case they get to shooting, I don't want Deja to be a collateral damage. Preach, Pastor. snatch the guns. I got to kill some stuff today. Because here's what we're doing in the church. Even the church is not challenging us to raise a standard of godliness in our children's lives. So we got children sitting next to us that while the children are singing, your children sitting next to you. You don't even make them sing. You don't even make them participate. They sitting there because they don't want to come. Well, they don't want to come because you ain't driving them on Tuesday.